Please read the disclaimer. XRP holders, this has been a wild 24 hours here for XRP with movements of 10, 15% in a matter of hours. We're going to talk about what's happening right now with the crypto market, with XRP. There's a lot to get into this video. So sit back, relax, drink some coffee. I'm going to get a sip in as well. While I'm doing that, don't forget to smash the like button. Let's try to get 1,000 likes on this video. You guys were successful yesterday. I'm going to do that as well right now. I just noticed I didn't turn off my alarm clock to wake up. I woke up a little bit early today because I want to get a lot of things done today. And there's a lot to talk about. So let's get into it. Currently, XRP is sitting at $1.29. XRP was, you could say, the quote unquote star of the show yesterday. And it was super, super volatile. Last morning when we talked, XRP was at 144. It dropped at the lowest point to $1.11. Didn't get to $1, right? So that didn't happen. That was something that we were talking about last night. But if we take the low here, and we'll actually analyze what happened in this few hours here. But if we take the low there, XRP is up 15% in the last 7 hours. And from the low to the high, XRP went up about 20%, almost 19.5% in the 6 hours following that, last hurrah. It coincided with a few things. And we'll get to, there's lots of news. We'll talk about the fear and greed index and records that were broken yesterday. There's a lot to talk about, and it's important to understand what, we'll talk about how a lot of actually very wealthy people are looking at this situation. We'll zoom out a little bit. So make sure to watch all the way to the end of the video, of course, to get, the full perspective. I forgot to breathe. I wanted to open the video. I wanted to say, okay, breathe. I forgot to do that bit. It wasn't a bit. It was, it's to deal a little bit with this situation. Some people that it's like their first hurrah, their first time around the bush, around the mountain, it's very stressful. And to tell you the truth, I had a little bit trouble falling asleep last night because I was like, okay, what's going to happen here? I look, I analyze, I have my experience, but your feelings start creeping up. And so it's normal. It's part of the game. Even people that, you might, I saw someone said, my, portfolio is down for 50K to 16K. There could be someone that's from 5 million to 1.7 million, or there could be someone that's from 50 million to 17 million that it fell in the past few weeks. So it's a lot of people are feeling it right now. People that are short are happy, but whenever, well, I'll show you. I'll show you in just a second. I don't want to jump ahead. So it was very interesting last night, actually. I went to sleep around this time at 2 a.m. So it's about 7 hours since that happened. And it was a hurrah here, an attempt, right, to bring Bitcoin under 60,000. So Bitcoin is sitting now at 65,000. Ethereum is at 1,900, right? Solana is under 80, right? So Solana got pushed here to $67. Crazy, crazy prices right now, looking back 2-3 months, right? Or even 2-3 weeks. And so there was a hurrah there. So I was like, oh, something's happening right in the crypto market, because I was watching this sell-off. Now, when I looked back and I analyzed it, and there was like a V-shaped recovery, it was not just crypto. So this is silver, and silver dumped exactly at the same time frame. So it dropped all the way down to, sorry, this is Solana, not silver. They're both with the soul, right? This is silver, right? So you can see silver was at 76, and right when Bitcoin was dropping, right, the same action here, and we saw the bottom at $64 per ounce, and it has bounced off as well. So the same kind of movement happened, 17% in that 6 hours. And if we go and we look at, for example, Bitcoin, right? So if we take that time frame, from 8 p.m. my time, so Bitcoin, let's say 8, right? So Bitcoin ended up dropping about 10%. So actually silver was dropping stronger than Bitcoin and crypto at that time. But people in the crypto market were freaking out about the drop. So it wasn't just a crypto drop. Something is breaking here. Something is happening. Someone big is either getting liquidated or margin called or selling off huge amounts of assets. And this is creating fear. This is creating the algos to react. This is creating a situation where we had over 2.6 billion liquidations in the last 24 hours. If we look, Bitcoin 1.1 billion on the long, and it's interesting because do you see even XRP? I don't even see XRP here on the top. I can't even see XRP. So it wasn't really liquidations that was here. XRP 34.76 million the last 4 hours. But if you go out, I can't even, where is it? Is it maybe this one? Here. It's out of the picture. 75 million liquidated on the long, total, 58.22 million on the long and 16.77 million on the short. So XRP did get a lot of liquidations, but not as much as Solana, not as much as Ethereum, not as much as Bitcoin. So there was some selling. Someone big was selling, unraveling positions. I'll show you towards the end of the video. There's a very interesting graph, actually, Bitcoin versus XRP that was behaving interestingly, and that could be a factor why XRP was selling off so much yesterday relative to the rest of the crypto market, because there wasn't a thing. There wasn't a bad news for XRP. There wasn't SEC's coming after XRP or Ripple is selling XRP. No, there wasn't any headlines like that. And yet XRP was selling off versus the dollar, right? More than expected. And again, it's XRP versus the dollar. When you look at the perspective, we're still in a situation where people are investing in order to potentially transfer the crypto back into fiat, right? We're not at a level yet where people are buying crypto. Most people are buying crypto and they're saying, okay, I have, right? Hopefully you have 1 million XRP, right? They're saying, okay, I have 1 million XRP in my bank account. It's like saying I have $1 million in my bank account to certain people. Other people are saying, oh, that 1 million XRP is worth right now $1.29 million. That's what they think because they say, okay, I can buy in dollars, or I can buy in euros, or I can buy in drachmas, right? What can I buy? What can I use it to buy properties or to buy stuff? People don't think of, oh, I have that 1 million the same way they look at that. So it's a situation that we're in. The crypto market hasn't matured enough. It could happen in 5, 10, 15 years. And we have to take that into consideration that's a possibility. Now, we did hit extreme fear. So for the first time in a very long time, the fear and greed index, this one hit some interesting pictures here. This you can see these are the actual costumes I was looking for, and then they gave me other costumes. We hit single digits for the first time. If you go to this is a different gauge here, it says 5, right? But on this gauge here, we haven't hit single digits fear since 2022 when we hit 7, right? Even in March of 2025, it hit 10. And on November, where we hit 11. So it never went to 1 digit, right? This is the first time in a very long time that we hit 1 digit. It also happened in the pandemic crash, right? We had a few days here below and a day in 2019 when it dropped to 5. What happened with the price of Bitcoin on that day? I just wonder. It probably extreme sell-off, right? It probably was a day that the crypto market dropped significantly. What happened here? It's interesting, right? It's interesting. It's Freaky Friday, 22nd of August, 2019. 22nd of August, 2019. August. Interesting. It's August. Where's August? Something here that happened around this area. 22nd of August. Interesting. There's not like a huge sell-off day. That's really weird. I don't know what happened. 22nd. Why this day? we had extreme fear in the crypto market. You would think it would be like a day like this, right? That, at the time, how much did Bitcoin drop here? Like 13, 14% in that day. Of course, these days it makes sense, right? In the pandemic, Bitcoin dropped 40% in one day. So a little bit perspective of what was going on back then and what happened yesterday. The numbers are the biggest, right? So if you go and we look at history, it was the first ever daily candle that Bitcoin dropped over $10,000 worth, right? And not even the record of about 20 billion liquidation on October 10th, came any closer today. Remember that on October 10th, Bitcoin actually held pretty nicely. Like altcoins got destroyed, and yet Bitcoin held. Like if you look at the candle, right? Can you give me October 10th? It's kind of hard. Like you wouldn't know. If you look at XRP, of course, and we take off all the drawings, you know which day it was. Right? But Ethereum actually also, Solana had, and Solana also didn't have that big wick. It was everybody else outside of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana had that wick, right? And yet now they're selling off. So there's an unraveling that's happening around that, right? Like this is a very interesting scenario that's happening. I don't know what the cause is. It could be the one factor. There's not one factor. It could all be the two things to three things. I've been thinking about this a lot over the past few hours. Since I slept for a few hours. I do sleep. It was less than 6 hours though. I should sleep more. I know. I'm trying to be better. But it is what it is. Hopefully you get 8 hours of sleep. There's three things that I'm looking at right now. The Japan carry trade, which I mentioned last night. I think that the weakness of the dollar, the situation in Japan could be unraveling some things. Again, it's not just cryptos that's dropping. Silver is down 50%, from the high. And so when you take that into consideration, right? Silver hit its high at 122 just a few days ago. So silver is down, from the peak to the bottom here. Silver is down over almost 50% drop here in 7 days. That affects what's going on. And a lot of money flew into silver as it was pumping, as it was going up. And, my picture here that I drew, warning about this situation actually came into fruition a lot faster than I thought. I thought, we might have a slower sell-off, but it happened very fast. And so that's unraveling a lot of positions. That's unraveling a lot of things. Coincide that with the fact that it could be still that the aftermath of October 10th and the fact that exchanges and market makers had to be swooped in and saved in a sense because of that deleveraging that happened, we could be at the end of that effect. And so there's a lot of components that are happening. Also, I don't know if you know this, but we did see yesterday strategy. So Michael Saylor's company, right? They had earnings. So it's very interesting that the day that it kind of fell apart was the day going into their earnings, and they announced that they had about 64%, 1 year return on their stock, right? And they are deeply underwater, right? On their average, where the price is at 70,000. So they're underwater. The question is, was there some sort of manipulation happening yesterday to bring them underwater? Someone big that was short on strategy, that was manipulating the market, but then, and why the algos started selling off. There's a lot of things. Some things I don't understand. Some people say, oh, it's because of this, it's because of that. It's happened. We have to deal with it. I can give theories, I can give things that maybe, move the markets, but we really don't know. Okay. As always, I just want to remind you that this video is for educational purposes, for entertainment purposes only, not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence before you decide to invest. Okay. Also remember that I will never contact you on social media asking you to sign up to anything or to send me anything. Those are scammers. Those are imposters. It's not me. It's people, in all kinds of places around the world that are using my image. If you see something like that, if you see like an AI video of me, report it. Okay, just be very careful out there. There was more things I wanted to talk about, but I talked too much. So this was one of the days that we referenced for year to come. At the low, crypto, gold, and silver were down a combined $2.4 trillion of market cap. Now, so the question is, this is the question, right? When you hit extreme fear, Brad, CEO of Ripple, says, favorite Warren Buffett quote, be fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful. And this is a great quote. Um, some people will be asking right now, why is this happening? I wanted to bring up a quote here. Leo says, it's absolutely mind boggling. The Clarity Act, the most significant bill in crypto adoption in history, is about to pass. Wall Street is preparing to tokenize 120 trillion worth of assets. We saw Ripple already tokenizing those diamonds, remember? And somehow whales, influencers, and exchange convinced everyone we're entering a bear market and they should be short, right? Sorry to burst the bubble for Leo, but I think that after yesterday, we entered just price wise and sentiment wise, we are in a bear market. I know that it's happened fast, but I feel that we are in a bear market right now for crypto. Assets are down more than 50% since the high. Bitcoin is down. It hit 50%. If you remember, we talked about this yesterday, that from the high here to the low here, Bitcoin was down 77%. But I think before, somewhere around here in May, when we already had the Luna crash, I think you could have said that when we were down around 50%, that we were already in a bear market. And yet the sell-off continued. So the question is now, right, is this similar to what happened here, right? Where Bitcoin dropped 50% in 30 days. Remember, in April of 2021, right? Bitcoin dropped from 63,000 all the way down back to 30,000, and then it recovered. And then we went into the bear market. But are we in for a recovery like this? And again, this took multiple months. It was from the low here was in July, and then the high was in November. Are we in for something like this, or are we in for something like this? Now that's the question. And future me, right, or future you, from 6 months, 10 months from now, right, you'll know what happened. But we don't know right now what's potentially going to happen. Maybe we have a very fast recovery and we're back to 90,000 in a week. Maybe that happens. Everything right now is on the table. The crypto market and the silver and gold market, they're not acting like they normally act. And the question is, are people about to scoop in and, get short squeezed, all the leverage shorts? Tyler Hill here says, I've studied the liquidation maps every single day for over 14 months straight now. And he generally did not think an imbalance like this was possible. There's a huge amount of shorts, but not a lot of levels of longs right now. They squeezed out all the long leverage positions. And so the question is, what's going to happen? You can see that even in the short term, like XRP popped up 20% in 5 hours. So the market is still very, very volatile. Still, a lot of things can happen. Be very careful out there. Right now it says XRP is up 7.5%. If we go to, when we talked yesterday morning, right? We were at 140 something here, 144. We're down about 9% since last morning. So actually it's not too bad. But if you go to the bottom when XRP was almost at $1.10, then it looks really bad. But right now could be the moment that big whales are coming in. On the flip side, right? Did somebody know something about what's about to kick off? The U.S. Embassy tells U.S. citizens to leave Iran now. I'm not surprised, but could this also be a situation where someone knows something that's going to happen in the geopolitical situation, or is getting ready for that and is causing massive fear, massive panic? Okay, so this could all be what's happening. Again, CEO of Coinbase says, Crypto and AI are just getting started. Uh, Again, the technology, the potential, the adoption, it continues to grow. Right now, the prices versus the dollar are weak, but the dollar versus other fiat is also weak right now. So it's kind of, perspective about everything that's happening. Okay. I know that it's not easy right now. I know that it's hard. But we'll see. Again, I try to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly. So we had some good things, we had some bad things in this video. Benjamin, that's been a very big believer in the fact that we are in a bear market. And I think, just from yesterday, price action wise, I'm not talking about sentiment and all that. I think 50% down from the high, bear market, right? We can't beat around the bush around it. So we're in the bear market. And then you have to ask yourself, okay, bear market, we did not have the crescendo, we did not have the banana zone. And by the way, if you go back and you look at, the graphs that Raoul Paul put out, every time before that banana zone, there was a massive crash. We never had we had a crash, and then we had a new all-time high with the 2022. Then we had a new all-time high before halving. So it was all flipped on itself. And the ETFs kind of, you could say, messed everything up because there was more hype before the halving. Everything got all out of whack. 2026 is a midterm election year. Historically, midterm election years, they are the year after the crescendo, but we never had the big crescendo. We never had the banana zone. Yes, that date was the high, but we didn't have a crescendo. And Benjamin says one common pattern in midterm years is for Bitcoin is that we see a lot of weakness going into early February, followed by strength in March, then weakness again going into April, May. So this is a possibility that also we could have a strong March, but then weak April, May. So even if we have a little bit of run up, I'm going to be the person with the monkey on the shoulder, right? Telling you, hey, remember that we still could be very, very volatile here. And yesterday, BlackRock Spot Bitcoin ETF had a record 10 billion in daily trading volume for the first time ever. It ended up with 430 million shed, right? So BlackRock had 175 million in outflows, but there was extreme huge volume, and other ETFs also had spot XRP ETFs had 81 million, which was a record volume. So there was a lot of volume. This is, again, one of my fears was if we do see something like this happen, people that are owning XR ETFs will start dumping. Companies that added crypto to their balance sheet will start dumping, because they have a master, right? They have shareholders, they have investors, and they can't be, hey, we have to ride the wave. It's okay. This is how crypto is. Some of them can, but some of them won't be able. And some of them will be buying this dip and some of them won't be. It's going to be very interesting to see how all of this plays out. And this is the graph that I wanted to share with you, the XRP to Bitcoin graph. So, we look always at, XRP is now at $1.30. But if we look at the XRP Bitcoin graph, XRP is at 0.401869. It's all about what you're looking at and how you're looking at. Again, I told you, I don't really care just from my portfolio standpoint if XRP is at $1 or $2 or $3, if I'm thinking long term. Okay, of course, the day trades, the swing trades, the interest, the freaks out by retail, the freak outs by me, just that I was like, okay, what's going to happen here? And I put a lot of stress on myself because we talk about XRP, that I know that you guys want the price to go up, but that's not just how the markets work. And we have swings, and you just saw in 2020, March of 2020, Bitcoin dropped like 30, 40% in that day. I didn't even look at XRP. It was probably something similar. So let's just, just for reference, I don't know, will it make us feel better? I don't know. Probably not, but okay, let's see. So there was this day here and XRP dropped 36% on that day. How much did we have on this candle here? So it was probably like 25, I think, yesterday, right? Where's that candle? It's looking at it, it's not that juicy. From the low to the high, it was about 25, 26%. Interestingly, on October 10th, it was 55%. but it did bounce back, of course. So, right now the candle is green. We'll see what happens. Again, it's pretty early, but it was interesting because the XRP Bitcoin and Binance says it all. Big Bitcoin whales just pivoted out of XRP in a coordinated manner. This is not the first time this is all orchestrated, potentially manipulation here. Who knows, right? But it's costing them a lot of money this time. If they don't recover from it, we may see XRP finally decouple and start leading the industry as planned. We'll see. You can see this is the sell-off that was happening here in that specific period of time where in the morning, if you remember, XRP was down about 7% when we were talking, and the rest of the crypto market was okay. And then something flipped. I don't even know what was it when the stock market opened up. It could be that everything just started tanking. Yeah, around when the stock market opened, you can see XRP had about an 8% drop there in 50 minutes once the stock market opened up. So things started unraveling here. And, interesting that Bitcoin was about 5-6%, and then it ended up 15% over the next few hours there. So, Bitcoin caught up. And for many times, Bitcoin was a lot less volatile. Remember when we were back a few months ago, or about the last year, where we kept seeing altcoins drop and Bitcoin was like down 2% and altcoins were down 7%. And that was happening. Right now, there is a similarity, although the dominance is still pretty high at 58%, but it has come down in the last since Tuesday. So it was at about above 60%, and it now has come down to 58%. So we'll see. Remember, it was all the way up at 65% during the summer, and it dropped all the way down to 57. We're similar percentages there. We still have this gap up, right? Remember that? To 85,000, around that level. And so again, this could be the same way we had, all the drawings came back. The same way we had the gap down, we could potentially have a gap up, and it might take a little while, but we'll see. Maybe it's fast, maybe it isn't. But we'll see how the potential of this next coming weeks, this weekend, it's very important to see where price of XRP goes. Maybe we bounce back quick, maybe we don't. Again, I am not a prophet. I don't know exactly what's going to happen in the market. Maybe people see this as an opportunity. We already talked about how the crypto market was lagging. Well, now it's lagging and the prices are a lot, quote unquote, cheaper, right? So we'll see. Maybe big money is going to swoop in. The question is, does big money have money, right? Because a lot of money was flowing into silver and silver dropped 50% from the high. How many people lost money there? So maybe the money is freaking out a little bit. Although stocks are still pretty high, by the way. If you look at the indexes, right, they are down. Like the S&P 500 was already over 7,000 and now it's down, but it's not down huge. But if you 3% in 5 days, NASDAQ down. NASDAQ is a little bit more concerning, 6.68%. And it also is it got a crossover on the 1348 EMA, which is concerning because last time that happened, the NASDAQ dropped about 24% in the next month. So that is a possibility, but maybe it has something similar to what happened here. And then, it only dropped about 6% on that sell-off, and then it rallied 15% in the next coming weeks. So we don't know exactly what's going to happen. Also here was a big run up, and also here. So interesting. It does not mean that we're for sure going to see a continuation, but there has been a lot of sell-off in software companies, and just it's kind of weird action. It's what's happening over the past few days. Maybe we'll know the exact cause in a few weeks. Maybe we won't, but I think I'm losing my voice here. Oh, it's very long today as well, just like yesterday. I don't know. Do you guys appreciate these longer morning videos? I know a lot of people listen to me on the way to work, while you're drinking your coffee. So I thought maybe in the morning we could talk a little bit more, have a bit more laid back, not fast style. Let me know if you're enjoying this kind of style. Let me know in the comment section. Smash the like button. Check out the links in the description down below. And just I appreciate you that you are, coming, and even when we have extreme fear, you are still interested in what I have to say and to get updates on the news about the crypto market and about XRP. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you next time. And like I always say, even when the market is down and up, maybe this is an opportunity. Remember, the last time we had extreme fear like this was the bottom of the market, right? Back in 2022 when Bitcoin was at 15,000. So maybe that's what's going to happen. I don't know, but history many times repeats itself. Okay. Like I always say, let's make a lot of money.